Hi, Patrick here. Have Cheetah will view. Have 8 questions with, and once again we are tiptoeing into May. Yeah. For me, May is a heavy month, and but I'm glad to be here. Glad you guys are going to be joining us shortly. Um, yeah, we're working hard on getting a good month together, and some good things have been happening. Yeah. And good things start happening tonight as we welcome back actress Asel. I am not going to kill her last name in public. I just am not going to do it. I mean, I'm going to call her Asel until she gets here, and then she can once again tell me how to pronounce her name properly because I'm not going to massacre it anymore. Ugh. All right. Asel will be here in about 15 minutes or so, and we're going to be talking about a lot of things. We can talk about her career. I think she has been going around the world since the last time that we have talked with Asel, just based on her wonderful Instagram page, which I did put in the I did put that I pinned it. So if you guys want to go check that out and follow her page, our Instagram page, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's a beautiful page and a lot of beautiful photography there as well. All right. Thank you guys for yesterday. We kicked off the week in high style as we assembled the full Friendly Men podcast crew last night. James, Mark, Jonas, and Ant all were here last night and having a great time. Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a lot of fun. Those guys, they really seem to thrive off each other. I know they're going to have some more creative, genius ideas coming up. Um, James is getting back on his feet, and once he has to get his accounts back. But I suspect that once that happens, we will be seeing the Friendly Man in full effect here on the tube and elsewhere. We had a fun time with him in April. We had him on 3 times, so that's all right. All right. So tonight, like I said, Asel will be here. And she was here once before. We interviewed her along with Joe Leone when they were here talking about Breakup Mountain. That was a fun interview as well. We talked about Joe's ability to find some wonderful talent for his films. Asel has done quite a few of his films, actually, and that only proves my point that the man has a thumb for talent. Just he just knows it. And so we'll be talking to Estelle about her career, what she's been doing since last time we talked to her, and take your questions as well. Those who are coming in, we're taking your questions as well. All right, so let's get to the calendar because I have not really been doing a good job of promoting this, and I got to do a better job. So tomorrow night we have Matthew Kenner will be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. He was one of the two co-leads of Austin Galanti's sweet oh, Sweet Killing Machines. Thank you very much. Yes, he was one of the two leads in that, and we'll be talking to him about his career tomorrow night, and cannot wait. He seems like a very nice young man and very hardworking, and I can't wait to talk with him tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. All right. On Tuesday, May 7th, we have actress Samantha Hupp will be here with us. She also, you might know her as Sammy Morningstar as well. She is not only she up and comer actress, but she is also a rising Twitch star. I don't do Twitch, so I don't sure what that entitles, but I've been told that she is a rising star in Twitch. Hey, Jaden, how are you, sir? How are you? And she will be here when we talking some horror movies with Samantha on next Tuesday on the 7th at 8 o'clock. She's got a nice resume too. I could definitely see why she's in demand. She's got a really cool look about her, and yeah, I could definitely see why. Like I said, I can see why she is being. A lot of people are trying to get her to come work for them. She's got a really interesting look. All right, the Indie Escape Network is here. All right. Thank you. That must be Joe. Joe or John. I know it's JW. That I do know. JW. Um uh Thank you so much for coming in. And then next Wednesday, we will be dark. We will not have a show next Tuesday. Me and the Cheetah, we are going on a road trip. We are headed to our friend Dell on Movies channel. We are doing the movie swap. We got invited, we got the call, and we are doing the movie swap. So we will be over there. We over there next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, and I can't wait for that. Um, the movie swap is one of the funnest series going on the tube, and so I'm honored to be part of it. We each picked. I sent Dale 10 movies to pick from, and Dale sent me 10 movies to pick from. I picked mine. I'm pretty happy with it. Dale picked the better movie. I can tell you that right now. Dale picked a better movie. I actually thought he was going to go different, but he picked the best movie that I sent him. So it's going to be a very interesting show on May 8th over on Dell on movies. Hey, Steven, how are you? Let's see. Yeah, looks like yeah, you guys are really getting pounded in there in the Midwest. Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa, they're all getting hit hard with tornadoes. Wow, it's really been crazy. And it's really weird about tornadoes that now we're getting so many videos of it. I think the really thing that surprises people when they watch videos of these tornadoes, and I see it in the comment section all down below, they're always asking if the person who put up the tornadoes, if they put it on they if they made a mistake in making it putting it at a higher speed. No, no, that the speed that you see a tornado in, that's how fast it rotates. Yeah, so when you see a tornado coming at you, yeah, you probably don't want to stick around for that. Um, but I will be back on the 9th. I will be back on the 9th of May, and we're going to be welcoming in singer-songwriter and actor Chris Ivan will be here from Las Vegas. This will be his first solo turn here on Eight Questions With, and we will be talking to Chris about his music. He's got a couple of fine albums out, an EP, some music videos. He's got a fine career. He also does acting for. He's done a few movies for Joe Leone on Carcass Studios, but we're going to be focusing on his songwriting on the night. We're going to be talking to Chris Ivan, the singer songwriter, and then on the 10th of May, which is a Friday at 9 o'clock. Hey, Zach Attack rolling in strong. What's going on, Zach? That's right. I got to get him in here. You know what? I am going to get him in here. I'm going to find him on Instagram, and I'm gonna make that happen tonight. That's like me. It's like I was like doing one of those wrestling shows, impromptu wrestling shows. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but all I know is that we're gonna get Zack Attack in here tonight. I will be hitting you up, and I also want to talk. I also want to get the guys from the Indie Escape Network. We also need to get those guys in here too, and you guys need to discover these guys because these guys are a lot of fun. You got Joe in there, just a tremendous. I really enjoy watching the show. It's a really interesting show, and I did see that you covered the James Bond girls, the Christmas Joan episode. I am going to go back and watch that. I'm going to go back and watch that. Hey, Mike, how are you? How are you? Glad you're here. I will be heading back across the pond on May 14th. I'll be heading back to do a interview with actress Danny Shepard. Will be here on May 14th. So always a good time. Always a lot of fun to talk to our friends from across the pond. Um, yeah. Okay. So I got it right, Joe. Okay. And JW is his program director and hosts 2 shows on our network. Well, I got to get you then, Joe. Either you or assemble your crew. Uh, Indie Escape Network, assemble. uh, all right, all right. Wow. Let's see. let's see. Joe's saying, I'm thinking of starting a Sunday night show again on our network again. If anybody knows of a producer co-host that may be interested, needs to know how to use and produce a show on StreamYard. So that means you are doing it not live. You're doing a tape review. Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I really don't do tapes. I just do live. Uh-oh. I think there's somebody coming inside the room here. I got to make sure it's the right guy. Hold on real quick. We'll find out if this is the real deal or an imposter. Stand by. Here we go. Oh, definitely live. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Hi, Jim. How are you? Uh, hey, Eric. How are you? How are you? Thank you so much for the kind words. Yeah, Joe's been here a few times. He sees, oh, it is him. It's our friend Rick. Joe's actually been in for a few shows. And I'm always welcome to your feedback too. Um, yeah, feedback is always welcome here. If you want to drop a comment, give me some clues, give me some ideas what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. I'm always open for that. I'm always looking for feedback. Um, if I'm not doing a good job, I want to know that. If I'm doing a good job, that's good too, but I'm always looking to improve. So I would definitely appreciate any feedback that you could give me, Joe, for sure. You've been doing this for a while now. And Eric also is a interviewer as well. He has done several great interviews on his channel. And I am doing good, sir. I am doing good, Zach. How are you? Uh, yes, we definitely gonna have fun. Me and Eric are teaming up. We're gonna be doing some collaborations during the summer. We're looking forward to that. It's gonna be the Last Man Sane. It's gonna be absolutely a joy, and yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that to happen. We're gonna put it together, Eric. We're gonna have a lot of fun. All right. Thank you, Zach. I appreciate that. See, Charles says I should do the show in a cowboy hat. I should do that, shouldn't I? I should actually do that in a cowboy hat. But it would have to be it would have to be the same cowboy hat that Richard Boone wore and Have Gun Will Travel. That's the only hat I could probably wear. Um, and if you guys did watch my library video, if you guys did watch my library haul video this week, I got friend mail. I got friend mail, and I got a Western film for our friend Joe Cornett, who was on the show earlier. We did a watch party with Joe Cornett, and we watched Gunfight at Rio Bravo, and he sent me a copy of the movie this week. So I do love Westerns, that's for sure. All right. And speaking of watch parties, so May 10th at 9 p.m., 9 p.m. May 10th, we're going to be joined by filmmaker Michael James Bernard, actor Dylan Yeager, and are also our friends from In the House, Larry the Horror Cat Dad, and Don Zombie himself. Don, the Night Owl movie talk. They will be here, and we are all going to be watching You Should Have Killed Me. Uh, the links are all in the when you hit the notify button, that'll tell you all the links that are in there. The movie is on Tubi, so you will be able to join us for our live stream. And there is Dell. There is Dell walking through the door. He is the man responsible for us being dark next Wednesday. We will not be here next Tuesday on the 8th. We will be going over to Dell's channel for we are doing an episode of Movie Swap on Dell's channel. So no 8 questions next Wednesday, but you can all follow me and the Cheetah as we travel to Dell's channel for Movie Swap, and I can guarantee you this. I can guarantee you this. We each got to pick one movie to talk about. Dell got the better movie. Dell got the better movie by forever. I cannot wait to hear his reaction to this movie. You'll have to have to come and watch it. I got a solid movie. I mean, on the surface, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be, he sent me this to watch and review. Hail to the yes. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be easy. It's gonna be amazing. And then I sent him my list, and I sort of got him. I sort of hooked him a little bit. Um, I made damn sure he got quality. I made damn sure he got 10 quality films to pick from. And he picked the right movie. He didn't pick the movie I thought he was going to pick, but he did pick the right movie. All right, the doorbell has rang. The doorbell has rang. So please, let's get our guest in here. Please help me welcome in Asel. I'm not going to say her last name. I'm going to let her say that because I'm going to crush it. But please welcome Asel to Eight Questions With, and let's have some fun. Ta-da!
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so I have refrained once again from crushing your last name. Could you? I decided to let you say it so I don't look like a horse's ass.
Otunchieva.
Otunchieva. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that's so pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah, Otunchieva. I don't know what the hell I was calling it, but you don't want to know. It wasn't that. Let's put it that way. So welcome, welcome.
Thank
Um,
you.
glad you're back. Glad you are back, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this one-on-one. Last time you were here, we were with Joe. We were talking about Breakup Mountain, um,
Yeah.
and now we're going to be talking about. I guess the first question I was thinking, what should I ask her first? Is I'm absolutely in love with your Instagram page. Your Instagram page is one of the best out there.
Oh,
So,
wow. Thank you.
oh my
It's
gosh,
very
it's
nice.
so pretty. Now, do you travel a lot?
I tried to in the past 3 years. I wasn't able to travel at all. Kind of growing up and then studying, then working, also with applying for citizenship and everything. So I kind of felt like I couldn't for a while. So as soon as I quit my job to pursue acting, instead of pursuing acting, I kind of just took off and just traveled as much as I could, which is good, which is good.
Wow, and you know what? We actually benefit from that because, like I said, the pictures that you've been posting on your Instagram page are just absolutely lights out beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
like it's almost like someone says, "Let's go find the 20 best spots in the country where we're visiting at, and let's go pay them a visit, and let's just take pictures of that." And it's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Our good friend Zach Attack says, "Hello, Estelle. Hope you're having a good day."
Thank you. Hi,
Yeah,
Zach.
and our good friend Eric is here. It says, "Welcome to the channel itself." Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Feel free to share us out, guys. That would be awesome as well. Our good friends, Joe from the Indie Escape Network is here. A lot of people are here early to watch this show, which is yes, Stephen. She has a beautiful smile. Our publicist, a friend, Stephen Chang, in the house. Um, so so last time you were here, we talked about Breakup Mountain, but I didn't get a chance to really get a chance to sink our teeth into like your background, like how you got started, and I wanted to do that when I asked you to come back to the show. I'm going like I want to know her story because last time we talked about the whole movie and everything else. We really, I've always thought I didn't give that's the problem with doing a panel show is sometimes you can't give all the attention you want to both parties equally. And I
Hmm.
didn't feel I did that right. I didn't feel like I did you justice. So I want you to come back and I want to sit here and talk with you about where you come from and how you got your start in films and all that good stuff. Um, Now you are originally from Kurdistan, right?
Originally from Kyrgyzstan with a G, and it's a small country in Central Asia, and it was part of the Soviet Union until it dissolved. So yeah, I'm from there.
Now, would you say this all because they got a sword, right? They got broken up. Did
We
that
got
make
broken up in the 90s.
So how does that affect one's citizenship? Were you then basically without a country because yours had dissolved? How did that work?
I think all of the countries that made up Soviet Union just got their independence back and just went back to what they were before the Soviet Union. I was born right after it dissolved, so I was born in a Kyrgyzstan already, not in the Soviet Union. And I actually was born in Moscow because my mom and my dad were doing their PhD there when my mom was pregnant with me. So I was born there, and then I grew up in Kyrgyzstan after that.
Okay. We already got questions rolling here. Eric just said he followed you on Instagram and he agrees the pictures are great. They are. They're absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Steven mentions she wants some promo. Doesn't mind helping you out. That's awfully kind of you. And Zach wants to know what's your favorite film? We have a movie chat. So what? That's a good question to ask.
Mhm.
What is? But can we get to that in just a couple minutes? I'll get to that one in a couple of minutes. But I promise you, we will get to that. Um, so that when now are your parents still with us? Are they still in Russia or are they here in the United States?
My mom and my dad, they were divorced when I was three. I believe my dad splits his time between Moscow and Barcelona. And my mom, she lives in the States. She lives in Michigan with my stepdad. But now she's in Kyrgyzstan visiting my grandma, who is 95, I believe. So mom goes there a lot to spend time with her.
Oh wow, okay. And your mom's in Michigan, huh?
And you know, when she's not in Kyrgyzstan, she goes back to Michigan. She's coming back on the way back to the States to Michigan. She's gonna visit me in New York for a few days,
Okay.
so that'll be nice. Hmm.
That's pretty even sided, right? New York and Michigan, they're about one and the same. If you don't mind me asking, what city in Michigan does she live in?
She lives in a small town called Houghton, Michigan. That's where uh, well, actually, it's called Lake Linden, but that's where I went for undergrad. And that's where she met my stepdad through my college professor. So
Oh, okay.
that's the connection. So they kind of stayed there, and I got out of there after I
You got
graduated.
you, you got out of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Charles, I don't think she was happy here in Michigan.
It
Uh,
snowed
uh,
there. It snowed there 9 months out of 12. It was not just Michigan, it was Upper Peninsula, Houghton, Michigan. So it was almost Canada.
right.
So the only month it never snowed was August. Sometimes June was still snowy. So it was a lot of snow. So it's a bit too much for me.
So, yeah, you were what we call a Youper. You
Yep.
were Upper
Yep.
Peninsula. Yeah.
Hmm.
Me and Charles, we're on the bottom of the mitten.
Hmm.
We would be here. No, I guess no. I guess we would be here. That's where
Hmm.
we're at. We're in a town. I'm in a town called Canton, so we're about 40 miles away from Toledo.
Hmm.
Um, yep. So you left and went to New York. Now, did you go to school to New York? Was that where you went to school at, or did
Uh,
you or did you?
yeah. So
What?
I did my undergrad in Houghton, Michigan, in Michigan Technological University. It's an engineering school. And then for my MBA, I went to Syracuse, upstate New York. And then I got an internship between my first and second year there in New York City. And then after that, after I graduated, I moved to New York City in 2013 full time. So that's when
Okay.
I moved. Hmm.
Now, well, how old were you when you got the acting bug? I mean, how did you get that? I mean, New York's a great place to have it, but did
Hmm.
you have it while you were here in Michigan and
Hmm.
and, and or Syracuse, or did you want or once you got into New York City did that happen?
I always liked acting. It was always a part of my life growing up. Growing up, I had a very well-rounded childhood, lots of experiences. I studied, I played tennis, and my mom took me to all of the different courses and things, as they do when um, they really care, I guess. So yeah, I played tennis, I swam, I went to dance classes, I studied a lot, I went to modeling school, I did everything. And I also did a lot of acting, which in school we had a lot of plays, productions, and recitals of poems. Anytime there was any event, we had like a whole thing made up for it, and I was always chosen to announce things, to recite poems, and to be in plays. And I kind of always took it, like I guess, for granted as normal. I was not a super shy kid growing up, so I kind of was like, of course, I'll be the main role. Of course, I will be on the stage. It was just kind of a thing that I loved, and I just did. I didn't think about it much. And then when I came to the States, I think because of the language and everything, I became very shy, very extremely shy. So that part of me just closed up. And also, I had to make very practical decisions because of where I could afford to go to school, how I could afford to go to school, which, um, all of those things. So acting just completely left my life for a while. But I started feeling that void. I always liked to do creative things. So when I could, if there was an acting class or anything, I tried to do a class here and there. In undergrad, there was one acting class that I took, and then in grad school there was nothing. But then after I graduated and moved to New York, I tried taking classes here and there, and then as soon as I got my citizenship, even before that, green card, I got enrolled into an acting school in the evenings after work. So it kind of I realized that it still needed to be a part of my life more and more. And I think acting school for me was a test to see if I actually like, the nitty gritty of it, um, or if I just like the idea of it. So I really liked, all of it. So it was 4 hours every night, and I enjoyed it so much. So.
Now we can apply that question that Zach asked earlier. And growing up here, in the states, or going to college, and even going to Syracuse or New York. Did you have favorite movies that you enjoyed, or favorite actors? Was there anybody that influenced you to pursue acting? Like, if she can do it, I can do it, or he can do it, I can do it.
I don't know if I had specific people growing up. Growing up, I have this hole in my knowledge of anything related to anything. I was just studying all the time, so I wasn't really watching a lot of things. To this day, a lot of movies that are considered classics, um people talk about, I'm like, I haven't seen it, and people are in shock, and then I have this list of movies I have to watch now, and the list is ever growing, and people joke that, like, just tell me what you have seen, it will be easier than all of the things you have to catch up on. But I started watching more consciously later in life. I really liked Manchester by the Sea. That
Okay.
movie spoke to me a
Yeah.
lot. I think I just like the acting, and just the humor of it. It was really dark, but for every moment was just so humorous and so well executed. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, Manchester by the Sea is probably my favorite movie.
Um, dark comedy, because Breakup Mountain had a lot of dark comedy running through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like Manchester by the Sea. Um, do you think that's probably the Russian side of you? Because that's, everybody says every movie that comes out of Russia it's a dark comedy, it's a black comedy, because there's no just straight out, there's no sunlight. It all has to be dark. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I really don't like cheesy moments. Sorry, I'm cat sitting, so there's a lot of stuff happening behind me.
oh,
um,
you're in the right spot, because we love.
yeah, so I really don't like a lot of cheesy on the nose moments. So maybe something I need to work through in therapy, but I just have this aversion to when, you're supposed to be like, oh, or you're supposed to feel a certain thing, or if something's overdone or cliche. So it's kind of nice when you're not expected to feel a certain way, and then like it kind of gets to you without you expecting it, and it just really cuts. So anything that's sort of like that speaks to me a lot, when it's not overly melodramatic, or when it's comedic but then it's actually really tragic, or if it's really sad but they're focusing on the positive of it, but you feel the sadness in there. I really like those kinds of moments.
All right. Dell mentions we all have our ever-growing watch list. I've always said to this, most of the people in the chat are in the either in the movie business or they're collectors, and I've always said that we should get a T-shirt for our community that says, I have this movie, but I've yet to watch it. I have it, but I have, yeah, because
Mm.
that is us. I mean, I got a few movies I haven't watched either. Like I've never seen E.T. before.
I have yet to watch it.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
is still a movie I have to watch. And
I
to this day, every time people talk about any movies like that, for example, I scream. I'm like, no spoilers. And then I take out my headphones and I put them on really loud so that I don't hear anything. And they're like, that's not fair. Like, that movie's been out for so long. You cannot do that, And I'm like, that's why I carry headphones, so I can just block out the
right.
spoilers.
And, it's funny. It's funny sometimes, as people are like myself who are older, we assume that, oh, just because I've seen it, everybody else has, and it's like if I watch Jaws, I'm like, okay, I watched Jaws. Like, who hasn't seen Jaws, right? It's been out since like for 45 years. Well, you know what? There might be someone next to me that hasn't seen it yet.
Hmm.
Maybe somebody who's only 21 or 22 and they haven't got to it yet. I just can't assume just because I've seen it, everybody else has seen it. Um, so give Estelle a break, everybody. Right? All your friends, give her a break. The chat is on your side, and by the
Uh,
way.
Thanks.
Um, it says Zach says he is just like that too, Estelle. I call myself a baby cinephile because I haven't seen a lot of classics. Well, remember though, classics are subjective, very subjective. What could be? I mean, there's a lot of movies now that people may not consider classic that other people do, and so on. Um, okay. Steven's saying that he's still with us. He has not gone to Oz. That's awesome. Glad there's no tornadoes coming down your chimney. Jim mentioned you went to Syracuse, which is only an hour away from where he lives at. So I did not know that Jim was a Syracuse guy. That's good.
Mhm.
I'm learning things too. Um, yeah, I mean, you've heard the term where, like who influenced you most into doing whatever you do. And to me, it's like, for acting, it's like most actors watch a actor or an actress or a director, and they become or a mentor,
Mhm.
someone who teaches them acting class that has inspired them to go forward with it. Now, did you have anything like that on your side? Was there anybody, any, one individual, whether you knew them or not, that influenced you to do acting?
I don't think it's a one individual specifically. I think it's just a combination of things. My mom, she was very encouraging in the beginning. Me growing up, she always wanted me to, she's like, tell that poem. Everybody quiet. Estelle will tell a poem. And I'm like, oh God. So it was, she always put me on the spot and made me kind of perform in front of people. Um, Back home in Russia, I don't know if it's a thing here. I don't think it's a thing here, but people really like reciting poems. People love poems, poetry in general, but people really love reciting it.
Hmm.
Just, a gathering of friends, they just start reciting poems. Just, or a kid is going to start reciting poems. Or, we had poetry recital competitions in school, and I always won the grand prize because my mom, I think she enjoyed it. So she would always prepare me very well. So I guess my mom in a way, because I was an A student, so I did the I recited the poems however I needed to get an A. But then for competitions, when I would practice at home and my mom would hear me, she was not impressed. She was like, "What is this? You're droning on and on and on in the same way. Nobody talks like that. Excitement here and here you change things and here you."
Mm.
And she would just coach me through it. And in my mind, I was like, "That's just too much." But I would just do exactly what she said, and then that would get me the prizes. So then I was like, "Okay, she knows what she's talking about. This is important." So I guess she was my first director, so to
Yeah.
speak. Yeah, but I was just reciting poems. But I remember when I was maybe first, second grade, we had a geography class where this substitute teacher, for some reason, decided to act out certain things. So she goes, "Oh, who wants to be um, oh, what was it? Some kind of an animal, come up to the front." And I came up, and then she needed us to act things out, and I would act things out. And she was saying that, she was like, "Oh wow, this is good." So she praised me, and I really enjoyed it, and it felt really comfortable. So I think after that they would always take me for school plays, and then it kind of was just the norm to me. But it was never like, "Oh, an actor acting." That was never a thing in Kyrgyzstan. I think that only solidified once I moved to New York. Not to New York, to the States. And I kind of kept missing it. I kept missing it. I kept missing performing. So eventually it was a thing where it's like, "Oh, that's what I actually want to do. I just want to perform."
Yeah, poetry reading recital, that is a unique beast all in itself. Um,
Hmm.
I've done it myself. I just a few times. I knew like real poets, like not just ham and eggers, but real poets. And when they got on stage, they just were. It's really terrifying to be on stage reciting poetry. It's like it's almost as I dare say it's probably rougher than doing live theater. Live theater, at least you could be in somebody else's skin and, bounce around the stage and, have movement. Whereas you're doing poetry, it's all you, it's all your inner spirit, and you got to project that, and it's just you and the mic and the crowd. And that is not an easy thing to do. That is not an easy thing to do. We were going to have we were going to have a published poet on for a guest. She had already written like three different poetry books,
Oh
and we were
wow.
going to have yeah, she was very well known. Steven knows who I'm talking about. We were going to have her on the show to do some poetry recitals. She not once but twice she got totally wiped out with stage fright.
It's a completely different thing. Writing something and then having to recite it. I'm sure she just did not sign up for that.
Yeah,
She just wants to create.
it's weird. It's like as you're sitting there, you're going like, but you're right because the poets that I used to work with, um, they were really gifted, but good lord, Asel, like it seemed like a quarter of them had to be flat out drunk before they could go on stage and do the recital. They have to
It's
deal with
very personal, especially when they write it themselves. They bear themselves in front of everybody, and it's their words. Because if you're reciting somebody else's poetry, it's just you. It's just the
yeah.
technicality of the voice and everything. But if you wrote it, it's a bit more vulnerable. You're literally putting yourself out there.
And I think that's probably ways why acting, like it'd be easier to do with like live theater or acting in a sense because, like 99% of the time, the actors are not reciting lines that they themselves wrote. They're
Hmm.
reciting somebody else's line, which makes it easier for them to absorb the character and to become that character. It's easier because it's not really you. It's somebody else's creation. You're just giving it life. Whereas poetry, you're doing the whole thing. You're conceiving it, you're writing it, and then you're reciting it. So, um, okay. Zach says he wants. Zach is asking a lot of questions today. This is awesome. He wants to know. what's a dream director that you would like to work with? If you could act for one director, who would you like to act for?
That's a very good question. And now you'll know that I know nothing about directors directors either.
We
Um,
can help. If you can remember
let's
a movie, if you can
mhm.
remember a movie that they've done, we can help you with that. We can help. We'll get the director.
I think let's see, Coen brothers and maybe Tarantino. Those are very specific ones and very hard to get probably. So really out of reach, but they're very quirky and particular. So with those I feel like the hardest part is for them to see you in a specific role that they need you for. But once they pick you for something, you kind of know that you're taken care of. You know, they're very particular with their characters. So if they chose you, they know where they're going with it. So they make something specifically with you in mind. So you know it's gonna be good. Yeah.
It does seem like a lot of the big name directors now. I mean, most of the time they already like Martin Scorsese or Christopher Nolan or Tarantino. They already know who they're going to put in their movies. I mean, they announced a project. People think, well, what well, I'll be able to audition for it.
Hmm.
It's pretty much well
They wrote
known.
it with somebody specific in mind, and they know they can get them. So
Right. So,
it's yeah.
all this left is just the peripheral characters,
Mhm.
there's not really any, a lot of people just have absolutely no chance to audition for that. Even if your manager or your agent says, go ahead and do audition, send an audition tape, do self. I mean, let me ask you this. Is that worth it to an actor? Let's say a Scorsese does a movie and you already know that he's already cast his main stars or they've already been announced and pretty much all you're going to be doing for is maybe a part of a maid or maybe a part of a waitress or maybe a part of there's no really meaty parts left. Is it worth it to do a self audition tape just to be known that you did a Scorsese movie, or is it better off not to do that and to concentrate on something where you have a much bigger part?
I think it's always good to do it because there is not really much going on, honestly. Like, it's hard to get an agent, it's hard to get a role, any kind of role, small role, big role, any role. So if Scorsese or anybody asks you to audition for a tiniest part and you have the time to do it, if you are at the time in your career, at that point in your career where you have time to put yourself on tape and do it, I say do it. Why not? Absolutely, go for go for it. Any kind of exposure or that's gonna only help your career. Now, if you are at a point in your career when you're a very well-known actor and there are certain parts that are too small for you that your agents don't think you should go for, because you're trying to market yourself for bigger roles in people's minds. That's a different story, but I'm not there. So I will put myself on tape, no questions asked.
Okay, because I mean, I thought about that. I'm asking the question. It's like, man, what do I do? If I got offered a lead in an independent movie that's going to
Hmm.
feature me, 80% of the movie, versus maybe doing a 3 or 4 minutes in a Scorsese movie. What do I do? What's the best for me? I mean, it's like, do I go for the
Oh,
bigger part?
if you had to pick, if the
Yeah,
scheduling couldn't permit it, I feel like if it was an independent movie, they probably would more flexible. So if you told them, "Hey, I have a Martin Scorsese movie, and I need a day," because it's gonna be a day. If you're saying one line or half a line, it's a day. You're gonna be like, "Hey, can I fly in on a Thursday and fly back on a Friday morning? I'll be back." The independent movie is probably gonna be okay with it. They're probably gonna work with you. But if not, then yeah, that's up to you. That's a good question. I feel like if you absolutely had to choose one or the other, I would say go for the meaty independent one if it's a passion thing, because that's what it's about. But again, only you know what's right for you in your career.
right.
That made in a Scorsese might just be the jump start of your visibility and career. So you never
Yeah, I
know.
mean,
Never know.
it does say something when you drop somebody's IMDb and and they list that, they're in The Irishman or they're in The
Hmm.
Godfather or what have you, Shutter Island. You do tend to look at that and go like, wow. But then again, like if you scratch down a little deeper, and you find out that the role wasn't the biggest part, then you go, okay, he did the Scorsese film, but
Hmm.
I know that person more because I saw them doing a big independent film. Like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, he did that. He did that mystery drama over there.
Hmm.
I guess it's a hard beast to tackle. To
Definitely.
do
That's a good dilemma, though. If you are at the point where you have that dilemma, that's a good problem to have.
yeah,
That's a good
that's what
problem.
that's what we call a first world problem. Um,
It's like, should I
so
do this or should I do this? Both
um,
want me there. Yeah.
now, but you're in New York, so you're in the heart of live theater.
Hmm.
What are you? I mean, I'm thinking after you telling us about your poetry, I'm thinking live theater
I
is a
just
piece
want to
of
make
cake.
something clear. Not
Uh-oh.
my poetry. When I say poetry reading, it's
Uh-huh.
poetry of Russian literary giants that we are reciting as competition. I never wrote poetry. To save my life, I cannot wrote a little poem, like anything at all. I cannot write at all. So it was only to act it out.
What is that? Is that a cat? Is this a cat that I am babysitting? Why is this cat here? Why am I babysitting a poem by itself? Okay.
Yes, look at the cat.
Uh,
There's an automatic game playing with it, and the cat is
uh-huh.
yeah, it's right there.
He's very handsome. Very handsome.
She's
Uh,
very cute. Yep. Mm-hmm.
how many cats are you cat sitting for?
One. I'm cat sitting for one cat.
One cat, one.
Yeah.
How is it a good feeling knowing that you are at the beck and call of that cat?
It's a very it helps that it's a very cute cat, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yes, yes, it
Super
does.
cute. It's
Now, do
super
you
cute.
do you do you have a cat of your own?
No, I have no animals of my own. I'm not in a stage in my life where I can take care of them or afford them, but I do it for um, I guess gigs here and there. One of them is to take care of animals, um, pet sit and things like that. So I get my dose of good mood, good energy from doing that, and also some side money. So
Uh,
eventually, I would love to have pets. I like them a lot. I love them, but that's only when I have enough money to leave them with with good sitters when I'm, you know,
what is it?
gone during the
What is
day.
it? What is a good cat sitter run these days in New York City? I mean,
I
how
don't
much
know
can
about New York City because I'm just moving to Washington Heights recently. I was deep in Queens before that for 3 years. So it depends. I work on Rover, so it's an app. So you can set, they kind of give you an average there that you start with, and then you decide whether you want to lower it, make it higher to see how many bookings you want, and things like that. I don't want to do it a lot, so I wouldn't be interested in lowering it. I would only be interested in making it more expensive because once you commit to it, you can't really use that day to do anything else much. So it's not really worth it unless you're planning to do nothing that day.
Yeah,
So
but the good thing is though, it's like, what do you prefer sitting for, a dog or a cat?
I love sitting for, I love all of them. I mean, I love dogs. Um, it's different. Dogs have more energy and they require more. Cats kind of just take care of themselves and then hide.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a lot of love, probably dogs. If you want to cuddle with them, play with them. If you're looking to have a peaceful night, probably cat. You can
Mhm.
just be over there.
So if you're looking for like if you're into watching cartoons, you got a dog. If you're looking for laughter but if you're looking for serious drama that moves you, that is creative and touches your soul, you can't sit.
Sure, sure.
That's so fun. That's so fun. I don't think I've ever had anybody come onto the show and as a cat sitter or a dog sitter, but I do. That's very cool though. Mean, that's fun. That's fun. See, I am the best digital pet sitter. Yeah, that's right. Your cats, yeah, your cats and dogs. Bring them in. We'll watch them while we do the interview. Um, that's fun. Now, what? Now, I was going to ask you. Because of that, even though you said that you read poetry from the Russian classics, from the writers, but did that spark you for live theater? Did you get an interest in doing live theater from that? I mean, it's just a step up from doing poetry to doing live, doing musicals or live theater. It's not that far between those two. Um,
It's very
do you,
similar. It's very similar. And also, growing up, I we did a lot of plays in the in a lot of different communities, school and others. So I was doing theater growing up as well, and it was just fun. There's an element of play, element of uncertainty, excitement, just element of being seen, and just having to sort of there's this go time, and then you just do it. So it's kind of high risk but exciting. I what I think is I just like being seen. I think that's what it is. I think I like performing because it's this feeling um that I chase, I think, because I did modeling as well, and even that was the same. I liked when I went to dance, I did dance. Same when you perform on stage. I think it's just the performance part of it, in the moment part of it, that I really enjoy, because at that moment everything just goes away, and that's the only thing that's happening. That that you can get through acting, dancing, modeling, whatever creative space that you can. Um, but yeah, definitely poetry recitals helped because you're just standing there and people are staring at you. And I had a lot of people laugh at me because when you're doing it on a stage, it's different. People applaud, they like it. But when you're in school and when you're in a classroom and when you're a kid and then you're taking it very seriously, it's
right?
it's a bit comical. So, and people would start laughing as soon as I get up there and start doing my over dramatic interpretation of something. But so you kind of have to zero in, zone in, and be in it. So I guess it trained me to kind of not pay attention and just zero in into what I needed to do.
Now, was stage your first? Did you act on stage before you acted in front of a camera?
Yes, camera was not until later. I did some music videos through my modeling agency in Kyrgyzstan. I think that's the only thing that I did on camera there, but that's different. Camera on camera, I started acting when I moved to New York. When I moved to New York, commercials, student films, horror films, web series, all of those things, they came in later. And it was horrifying in the beginning, to do any of it. Any of it. Auditioning was horrifying. Putting yourself on tape was horrifying. Just being in front of the camera was pretty traumatic. Hearing your voice back was very annoying a lot of the times.
Hobbs wants to know if there a huge difference between a um, like a lyric and a poem, rhyme and a poem. I mean poems rhyming. I
Um,
mean not yeah, not
mhm.
every poem rhymes. Yeah, right. I mean sometimes
Well, that's actually an interesting thing. In Russia, majority of the poems rhyme. The ones from that time that we would focus on in literature class, they would rhyme. And some of them wouldn't rhyme, like some of the Soviet political, anti-Soviet political poets, they were not rhyming, but that was exception to the rule. I know that in the States here it's different. Here, rhyming almost makes you feel like it's a children's book, something more, in the beginning stages, and it's more sophisticated when it doesn't rhyme. But that's not the case with Russian literature. Russian literature actually rhymes, so majority of the things I recited had a rhyme to it. Um, it's different. It is different. It's almost like a song. It's very different.
Okay. Hello, Betty. How are you? How are you? Zach would like to know if performing an escape for you. Do you escape in the characters that you play into?
I think so. I think so, definitely. I'm trying to think of times. Hmm. Expression of myself. I think escape as well, but more so, I think just expression of myself, just fully being there. Um, I don't know. It's weird. It's this thing where when they say action, when they start filming, it's you just drop in and you're just in this moment, and nothing else exists, nothing else matters. All of your self-doubt, all of those things, they can't be there because otherwise you're not in it. So everything just goes away and you're in it, and it almost doesn't matter whether it's good or not. It's more of whether you're in it fully or not, and if you're for me, if I feel like I'm in it fully, then for me that's good. That means that for me, where I am at right now in my acting, that's what I could do, but I was fully dropped in there, versus if I'm still having all these thoughts and all these things happening and I'm not fully in it, then I wasn't able to actually properly be there as a character.
Do you think it's easier to escape considering what type of movie it is? I mean, you look at a movie like Breakup Mountain, which is a black comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's set in modern times. It could be today,
Mm-hmm.
versus say maybe a period piece where you are dressing in costumes, like you're wearing like say turn of the century
Mm-hmm.
of the 20th century. Your big dress and a hat. I mean, does that help you, I guess, escape into the character easier than say playing a modern character? You know,
I think there is an element of fun there that for me, I love any kind of dress up, any kind of extra things. They can only help, I think. So, one of the fun things about getting to do acting is that you get to dress up, you get to pretend to be different people from different eras, from different places. So that's always a benefit. That's like a thing that you get to play with and you get to explore that. So I would always love that. So yeah, I think that there could be more escape there for me. Whether it will be a good performance or not is a different thing, because I feel like the more modern and close to who you are it is, probably the more um, the more realistic and good it's gonna come across, no matter what your acting ability is. When you get to more specialized things, whatever you lack in shows up more, because people who really know that time or those personalities, they can pick up that there is something not quite right there that you did not pick up. So there's a challenge to it. um, but again, for me, the way that I had to approach this to not drive myself crazy is shift the responsibility. So for me, the way I think, I make myself think, um, is it's the castings and director's responsibility to cast me in something. So it's their decision. Nobody forced them to cast me. So once they cast me, though, that once they make that decision, it's their decision. I have to trust that they believe that I can do it. And then I just dive in and do my best within that character. So that kind of stops me from being, from overthinking whether I can do it, how it's going to come across. Are they going to be upset about how I'm doing it or not? So for me, I have to say that, okay, I trust them and their vision and their choices, and they make their choices. And now this is the thing I have to do. And if they think that I can handle, wearing all this stuff and doing this specific character, then I guess I can. So I'll just do my best. So
how do you balance self doubt and self confidence?
it's constant. I think with time, it definitely helped. You know, I'm older and I've been, I wouldn't say I've done acting for a long time, but I've been around it for a while, you know, in school, acting school, projects, acting people, and all of that, where I'm kind of more comfortable with it and with myself. But it's, um, I think it's a lot of it is self compassion, letting things go and letting go of ego, because I was so strict with myself and so mean to myself, I think because of ego, because in my mind, it had to be perfect or nothing. And I was expecting myself to be really good, you know? So I think in my mind, I had to let that go and realize that, you know, you're not better than anybody. Like, what makes you think that you're gonna just be better than somebody else? You know, some people are very talented and just shines through them immediately. But for some people, it takes time and it takes learning and figuring out what to do. So for me, I just had to accept that my performances are going to be my performances, and hopefully there's going to be growth over time with projects and things. And all I can do is just, you know, do my best and be truthful and be honest and try to do my best. And some of them are going to be good, some of them are not going to be good fits, and that's okay. I just have to keep going and, you know, approach it like a job, like a career.
Right.
Less of, oh my god, this is such a big deal, this is such a huge thing, it's all or nothing, it has to work, this is my that would not work for me, because I would drive myself crazy, and also that's not sustainable for your psychological health, for your physical health. So yeah.
Um, all right, we are getting a lot of questions. We are getting a lot of questions tonight. This is pretty amazing. I'm really digging this. Our friend Betty says hello to you.
Hi.
And let's see, and I think there's a question up here that I get it. Let's see. We're talking about rhyming, and Dale mentioned most modern American poetry doesn't rhyme outside the spoken word crowd.
Mhm.
And then I wrote, not very many poets here don't rhyme except for Dr. Seuss. Let's see. Hobbs wants to know, do you prefer certain roles over others? I mean, is there a type of role that you like playing more than others? Do you like playing I remember the first time here, you said you were like always playing like the best friend, or you're like the best friend that turned out to be the evil one behind the plot. Has that changed for you? Do you like playing that role, or would you rather be playing the leading lady role, where you know you're out in the spotlight and you're gonna get that happy ending, or do you like playing the best friend who maybe not so much the best friend?
I think I just would like to play like meaty roles with a lot of conflict, a lot of things happening, and those roles are usually leading roles or one of the main roles. So I think that if that would be more important for me for my acting, because um you know, the best friend who has a specific couple of lines, or you know, an assistant and this and that, like those are the roles I'm hoping to get in the industry and to, you know, but eventually it would be nice to sort of have an arc to the character and have the character be more than one thing, and the character be complicated, and you know, it not necessarily evolve around the way that I sound or look or my ethnicity or anything. You know, it's something more generic in a way, but also deep. I like a lot of recently. I like a lot of characters that are not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. Just flawed individuals going through life. I liked that a lot. I watched. There was a play called Appropriate with. Great, I'm blanking on her now. I forgot her name. What's her name? I'm gonna look it up. But that, you know, there was this lady who's playing the
Oops, I think she accidentally.
I was opening my computer and my phone tried to connect to it. I think I'm back now. um, and and the leading lady in the play, she was not necessarily a good person, not necessarily a bad person. She was very snarky, she was very mean and very hilarious and very interesting to listen to, and it was just this thing where she's just like a human, a full-on human, a person. Like you could, you could imagine this being your sister or your aunt or anybody. And um that's that those kind of roles. um let's see, Sarah Paulson. I don't know
Oh,
why I
okay.
couldn't remember her name, but
Yeah.
she's great and she's amazing live too, which was not a surprise. I guess, but
Yeah.
roles like that.
Yeah, she's a good actress.
Very,
Um,
very.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see it. I mean, you gotta, I think playing a really complex person would be a lot more creatively rewarding. I mean, it's nice.
Mhm.
It's nice having the leading lady role or the leading man role, but you're right in a sense, like, a lot of the media roles always go down to the ones that maybe aren't the leading. Like, or, like people say all the time, they sit there and say, I much rather play a bad guy because they're more complex. They're and they're the hero of they're the hero in their own mind of their own story until
Or the
until proven other.
movies. Yeah, or the movies can start, they started writing leading people who are like that too, which I actually like. Leading people, leading roles now are not necessarily good either. They're kind of more it's kind of harder to tell. So
Mhm.
I like that too. Hmm.
Yeah, I think it. We watched a movie last week. We talked about called Rust Creek, and that movie had something that I have not seen in a very long time, and that had really had fully developed characters. I mean, they are all fully developed. I can't, and it was more than just one character. It was more than just two. I mean, sometimes you get that with two people in a movie.
Hmm.
I'm talking about four out of the five leading parts were fully developed characters. That's unheard of. I can't remember a movie where I watched that with that many people that are like, these are all interesting people. These are all grabbing me and making me stay. One or two I'm used to, not
Hmm.
four or five. That's
And
a
that is more
rare.
interesting to watch, right?
Yes. The movie, I mean, I'm sitting here when I saw the movie and it was like it's an hour and 50 minutes long. I thought, wow, that's a long movie for this. Oh my gosh, Asel, it flew by fast. I mean, they were rolling the credits up, and I'm still sitting there going like, it's over? It's already over? 2 hours flew by like that because I was so engrossed with the characters,
Hmm.
both in the story. Um, okay, let's see. Zach says actors with longevity are the ones that keep growing. Yeah, but getting that longevity, that's the key. Getting the chance to get up there and be seen
Hmm.
over and over and over. Um, uh, and Zach wants to know what has been your favorite performance that you've done? What role, if we are new to your work, what role would you tell us, what movie or project would you tell us to watch to see who best represents you?
Hmm. Um, it's funny because I haven't seen the one that I'm thinking of. It's difficult to get the movies finished, edited, and also then being able to see them. So all I can go off of is the making of it and the scene. There was this one movie about people in therapy. I did several movies about with therapy. They always cast me for some reason as somebody who needs who needs therapy. And this specific one, I forgot the name. Is EST? What is the therapy where you replay things with people in front of you, pretend assigning them roles from your childhood or whoever you want to talk to, and then you are able to tell them, go through things and tell them things as though you're talking to the other person. There's some kind of therapy that's similar to that. So that's what we were recreating in the movie. And
Okay.
I had a role there where I was talking to my dad, um, that I was angry at, and telling him certain things. And um, it was, I really connected. I really connected. They put this kind looking guy, older guy in front of me as my dad, and something about his face or something, it really clicked, and I started tearing up and this and that. And it was such a strong connection and strong moment that surprised me, as it was happening. I was like, oh, I don't know where all of this coming from, but maybe the therapy I need as well.
Uh,
Yeah.
um. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Do you think that your ethnicity, or your nationality gets you typecast? I don't know. I don't think that's happened to you, has it? I don't think you've been typecast for
Well,
your
I think again, ask me when I make it or something, because right now in the stage of where I am at, I would love to be typecast, to be
yeah.
cast. I would love to be cast. I'd love to have work. And then when I deal with, like I said, better problems to deal with, right? Like then I'll be like dealing with problems of being typecast and everybody's asking me to do this similar role. And then I'd have to talk to my agents and say, nope, not doing those roles anymore, not accepting anything except unless it's something that's completely, besides that.
Makes sense.
But partially, maybe because I think because I have an accent and because I don't look, I look different. It's a lot of it is, exchange student or best friend, um, or yeah, or something like that. So it's not a lot of the times where you would necessarily be picked for like the main um, role, but I think it's getting better now. So we'll see.
Well, I
We'll
don't
see.
know. I think putting this role down on your resume, I think it will add to it. When you put down there like, what can you do? You have dialects. Can you how many languages can you speak? Can you do combat fighting and can you do sword play? Can you do all that? But I think that right now there is a new talent that you got that I think is going to help you going forward. And quite honestly, if I was a casting director and I saw you coming through there with Cat Sitter on there, you're all in. Uh,
Consider,
uh,
yeah.
I think that's I'm just thinking about life experiences and how you apply them to doing auditions and to looking for the roles that you want to play.
Mhm.
Where do you look at for roles? I mean, do you are how do you find the roles, or do they find you? Are you to that point now where you've been in a couple like you've been with Joe Leone. Joe's got a nice reputation. His films have gotten well received. Uh, do you find that you have to look for films? You look for roles, or are they coming to you now?
I definitely need to look for roles. It's always an active search. It does help to have friendships with people, and relationships with people in the industry, like Joe. I, came back and back again for a lot of his things, and I'll always work with him again, because he's a really, really talented person, but also a very, very good person. So whatever, so there's trust there. So whatever he asks me, to be a part of, there's a big chance that it's going to be a yes. And then there was another director who's doing some projects in Canada, and same, when he reaches out to do something, I am always excited. So it's kind of nice to have people who kind of consider you as part of their go-to group.
Yeah,
That that would, take some of the pressure off of finding something creative to do. Sometimes it finds you, they have something and they email you the script, and it's always nice when they do that. And then when people from past productions or theater plays or something, they recommend you to their friends when they're looking for somebody. That's also nice. So I see some of it playing out on a like on my at my level right now. It does help definitely to keep up with the people and to have good relationships with people. They kind of remember you, and you know, there's trust there. But overwhelmingly, I have to be applying to, I have to have agencies applying, or I have to be applying. Like somebody has to be applying constantly to get out there and to have opportunities.
How many auditions a week do you usually do, Asel?
It depends. Some weeks it could be 4 or 5. Some weeks could be nothing. It's a lot of the times it's like fast and famine. Usually, whenever I'm traveling, is all of a sudden where everybody needs me to come for an in-person
Yeah.
callback, or so it was almost a joke every time we were like, okay, booking a flight. Let's see all these things rolling, all these offers rolling now, for when I'm not available. Um, but then all of them don't necessarily mean a booking. There's a lot of auditions, callbacks, castings, but not all of them become a booking. So, and even if they do, it's usually a day or a few days, so that's great. you know but then once that day is over, that high of being in something is over, you're like, all right, back to searching again, like what's next.
As an actor, do you appreciate it? I mean, when you get, I know you appreciate it when you get a call back.
Hmm.
But do you also appreciate it too if they reach out to you and say, you know what, it didn't work out this time, but we're going to keep you going forward. We like what you brought to the, we like what you brought, like I said, it maybe didn't work out this time. I mean, do you appreciate the fact that they acknowledged that you came out to audition and that you gave up your time to do so? Or do you just don't want to hear from anybody about that? Because I know there's two ways about it. I know I didn't get the part because I never heard back from anybody. I always felt like at least you could do is say thank you to the person who's coming out, for coming out and submitting their tape, and thank you for auditioning. Do you feel that's appropriate for a casting director to do, to reach out there and say thank you?
I think it depends on the situation. Of course, on the receiving end, it feels nice to get a response, because then I can stop thinking about that in the back of my mind of being like, oh, maybe that's going to be a thing. At least I know, oh, that's not going to be a thing. You can move on. So it gives me some kind of a closure. And also, if they do reach out and say, oh, we're going to consider you for other projects, to me, that's good, because in my mind, I believe that's what they mean. So I believe that this wasn't a fit, but they will consider me for other projects. So in my mind, that's not time wasted. I'm on their radar now. But if that's not the case, and if it's just about saying thank you for participating, unfortunately, we decided to go with the other whatever. If I went on several in-person callbacks, it's nice when they say something so that I don't keep thinking about it, because then you think that you're so close. When you keep going to callbacks, you feel like you're so close. So it's nice to kind of know that it's not happening. But I don't think that they should. I don't necessarily wait for. I just, as soon as I do an audition, in my mind, move on, move on, move on. It doesn't exist anymore, because they receive so many. They receive thousands of applications, hundreds of self tapes. I don't expect them to sit and type to everybody, not you this time, because of
Right.
the way the system is set up. Now, is the system set up correctly? That's a different question. So I don't think that's, they're overworked. I don't think it's their responsibility to be like doing this,
I'm
managing
thinking
this.
maybe like the top 24, like the top 24 people who go out for a role. You start off with 800, and
Mhm,
these are our last 24.
mhm,
I think that's appropriate and professional to sit there and say, thank you for coming out. You made it this far. I appreciate
mhm,
your time. We're definitely going
mhm,
to keep you on. I'm definitely going to keep you on my Rolodex. Like
mhm,
as a lot of casting directors do. We've heard that so many times where it's like, maybe you didn't get the role this time, but you know what? When the next time they cast a movie, they'll remember you, and they'll sit there
mhm,
thinking, I might not have something for that person last time, but I'm sure as hell have it for this time. And a lot of
mhm.
actors have gotten jobs that way.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really cool thing to do. But like I
Mhm.
said, I also think it's appropriate. I think it's appropriate for a final 24 or whatnot for them to reach out and sit there and say thank you. Because
Mhm.
if you're getting to the top 24, you've gone in front of a lot of people a lot of times, over
Mhm.
and over and over. I was watching the commentary for Scrubs, and they're sitting there saying how, those people went through 7 rounds of auditions, 7 rounds. And we're not talking about just people off the street. We're talking like the main stars had to go through
Mhm.
7 rounds. It was
Mhm.
like it wasn't just a slam dunk. It's stressful. It's a
It's
stressful.
stressful. It's an interesting thing about this acting thing because you have to put yourself on tape, you have to prepare, you have to, if there is a script, you have to read the script, you have to do so much work before you're guaranteed any payment or any forget payment, even before you're guaranteed that you're gonna work or do anything, you already have to put in so much time and effort up front, for these things. So it's interesting how it's set up because it's always been like this for me. I kind of just go with it. But I have friends outside of this whole process to whom it doesn't make any sense. They're like, why would you do this for free? And I'm like, that's the way for me to get a project. I have to audition, and they push back and they say, well, do you? Because the first few rounds, can they just look at your reel? Like, why do you have to say this specific thing and submit it? Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? And a part of me agrees, sometimes it's like, yeah, that's true. Like, our time is valuable too. And there is this expectation that, we just will do it and do it and do it. But a part
Right.
of me is like, listen, I gotta, I'm in the acting game, so I gotta do what I have to do, until the setup changes. And even, it already changed a little bit with the pandemic by going more onto the self-tape side, which is very convenient now because now when I travel, I cannot be on a project and I cannot be in person somewhere, but I can audition remotely all the time, and I've been doing that. So it's changing a little bit. Hopefully it will continue changing to make it, you
I,
know
I caught this last week on. I caught this last week. A well-known actor went on social media, and they were a little bit sparked up, and they're saying, like to the casting directors, a lot of the casting directors now are really young, and they're sitting there asking for a lot of these actors, older established actors, like established. They're sitting there going, "Yeah, can you send me a self tape?" And these actors are totally like they're chuffed because you're asking me who I got over 120 credits to my name and it reads like a who's who, and you're asking me to submit.
hmm
Do you know who you're do you know who you're it sounds
hmm
it doesn't sound arrogant, but it's a genuine question. It's like,
It's
did you
legitimate.
did,
It's
did you
legitimate.
even
When
did you
somebody
even
has a
look?
body of work like that, it's
Yeah.
legitimate. hmm
Yeah. Did you not look at my resume before you asked that question where it says I have 120 credits? I've been in like, eight or nine movies that grossed over $300 million. Did you not look any of that before you sat there and asked me to just submit my self tape? I mean, I can see them why some of those people get sparked up for that. It's
Yeah.
like you know who I am. I mean, my body of work. So I mean, it's not like they're not too good to audition, but the fact is that I guess they're the way they're being asked. Like, this is a good opportunity for you. Excuse me, it's a good opportunity for what? It's
Yeah.
like, um,
I know actors, especially the ones who made it and everything, are supposed to be humble, and it's not good for PR when they almost start saying like, "Do you know who I am?" and all of that. But at the same time, I do respect when people push back because
yeah,
things get normalized unless you push back. And sometimes, and for me, people who do push back, they do a great service to the rest of the people in their shoes. They kind of push back
right,
that, like, they draw the boundaries, and they require, they demand a little more consideration, a little more respect, a little more consideration. So that's always good. I always applaud when, of course, not arrogance, but at the same time, you can't be hiding behind being afraid to offend somebody and not stand up for yourself either.
Right. I mean, it's just, when I saw that, I'm thinking, wow, because I could see casting directors, the older wave is going away, they're retiring or what have you. Now I got these new guys coming up, and all of a sudden it's like, but you don't know half the people that they're just used to the people their own age,
Hmm.
and so they're like, oh yeah, I know who that is, Sylvia Sidney, or something like that, it's like somebody young. But what about the older actors who are still going out for parts, still want to work, and
Hmm.
and then not knowing who they are and what they've done, and still hit them up for a self tape. I don't know. I was interesting. Thank you, John. Um, yes, John will be on after Eight Questions with at 10:30. Him and the big swag, Brett Wagner. They will be interviewing Fritz Kirsch. I hope I said that right. They got the original director of the Children of the Corn 1984 to come on to their show after us at 10:30. I know this is my show and I'm supposed to be hyping up my stuff and my guests, but you know what? I gotta celebrate that. Have you
Nice.
seen have you seen the original Children of the Corn with Lyndon Hamilton and Peter Horton?
What do you think?
Yes.
No. I appreciate your faith in me, though. I have not. I have not. I have
Um,
to add it to my ever-growing list.
Yes, add that to your list. It was based on a Stephen King short story,
Mhm.
and it's a very fun movie. I saw it when it came out in 1984, and so when I saw that John said that he was going to be talking to him, I was like, I got to hype that up. Everybody needs to go over there and support that. Um, I mean, let me ask you this: do you go to a lot of do you go to a lot of Pierce plays if they're doing a play or if they're doing a one man show or if they're doing a very small play? Do you go out a lot to support your peers in New York? I mean, is that because musicians do that all the time? They'll go out with a band's playing, they'll go see other bands and be seen and watch. Do actors do that as well in New York City since it's such a theater and a film town?
They
Do
do.
you
They
go out?
do. That's one of my favorite things to do is going on theater shows. And I'm lucky because through Stella Adler, I'm on their alumni network. So whenever there are shows and they need people, if they have some free seats or something, they usually let the schools know, and they let our school know as well. So if you receive an offer for that, you can scoop up tickets all the time. And I was joking, that's gonna eventually, after enough decades, that's gonna pay off my tuition at Stella Adler, just from the tickets that I get to go on. I go all the time. Whenever
Wow.
there is something, I always make it a point to go. And it's sometimes it's Broadway productions, huge productions. Sometimes it's a one man, one woman show, black box theaters, somebody's classroom. It could be anything. And that's why I love it, because sometimes a little black box theater or one man show is one of the best things I've seen, and sometimes the big productions, of course, they're usually very, very, like, they're amazing. I just watched The Patriots a couple of weeks ago about Russia, about Putin and all of his rise and everything. So that was interesting to watch. And last couple of years ago, I think we watched the Lehman Brother trilogy and things like that. So we get to see a lot of shows, and just the energy of New York. I love that's the one thing that makes me miss New York when I travel, and makes me realize how lucky I am to get to live here for now, is that just the talent here. There's so much going on. There's always something going on everywhere you look. There's always a show, a production, people hustling, people writing, creating, putting something on, even if it's like with a one desk and one chair and three people, they'll do it. And the level of talent is so it's so high. It's almost always so good, so it's very inspiring. Very inspiring. Anybody who lives in New York has to be has to take advantage of the theaters and museums and all of the arts and everything. That's the main draw.
John just dropped down. He says that for the movie Children of the Corn, you can watch it for free on Tubi. So
To be.
Tubi should become your new best friend, Asel. Tubi
Mm-hmm.
has 3 movies, and you can catch up on your watch list very easily. And I mentioned Children of the Corn. While John actually is interviewing the director, we had one of the stars on Me and Hobbs. We interviewed one of the stars of that movie, Courtney Gain, and we had him on the show earlier, well, about a year ago, so a year and a half or so. So that's fun. Zach says here, there's been a discussion of how casting directors and producers are incompetent. I don't know necessarily they're incompetent, but they're definitely clueless. Like you got to understand, like, wow, I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes what I do is like, especially when I do the show here, sometimes I'll go to the IMDb page and I'll open up the IMDb page. I'll find a movie, a recent movie, and I'll click on the movie just to see who's in it. And then from there, I'll find someone who looks interesting. I'll click on their link. I'll follow that. I'll follow that link to their page, and I'll repeat. I'll look at what the work they've done. I'll look, I'll look at a movie like, oh, Breakup Mountain. Let me click on that. So I'll click on that, and then all of a sudden I get whole new actors. So I get exposed to a bunch of new faces relatively quickly. And I keep them up here. Like, okay, maybe I haven't seen that movie or some of the movies they've been into. But what I can do is I can swing over to Tubi, type them in, and see if they're there, and then I get exposed to new fresh talent. Um, wow, what I really like, what I've just realized what I've done here in our time is I've asked you so many acting questions that I've actually did not ask any travel questions, which can only mean that you will have to come back for that. You know, I'm serious. I meant to talk to you about that
Part
about the
three, the
travel.
travels. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, your travels are amazing. And again, to anybody who's new, who just walked in or hasn't seen, Asel's all her social media contacts are in the description box, and her Instagram page is. I posted it on top of the chat. So if you're not following, please do. I saw some of you earlier comment that you are now following Asel on her Instagram. That is a wise move. So what's next for you as far as performing wise? You have any new movies coming out that we dropping this year?
I did this series about the fan. Remember the Lost fan film that I did? The director is doing a series based on that. So we shot that in Vancouver, and I have a bit part there, a little part there, and then I did a web series a few weeks ago where again I have a bit part, a small part there, and then I just got a thesis student film where I'm gonna be playing as somebody who speaks Russian, which will be fun because I think that's gonna be the first time I'm gonna be acting in Russian for a film.
Oh wow!
So that will be exciting to do. So hopefully that will be shot and done at some point over the next, edited over the next year. So
Does that
yeah.
how many languages do you speak, Asel?
I just speak Russian and English. When speak. Kyrgyz is my native language, which I grew up not speaking, but learning in school as though it was a foreign language. But I believe that if I was dropped in the middle of a village where nobody spoke Russian, I would pick it up pretty quickly because I think I grew up around it, so it's kind of in my veins, in my bones. And then I took some French classes, but my recent trip to France made me realize that I don't know it at all. Whenever I tried to speak French, they would just, switch to English and ask me what do you want? So yeah, so English
Oh
and
well,
Russian.
well,
Mm.
practice makes perfect. Okay. Okay. Let's make Zach's question our last one. He's got one here. He says, "What's been your favorite movie that you've watched so far this year,
This year,
2020?"
ooh, now it makes me wanna go and look up what my movies were. Hmm, good question. Oh my God, that's so much pressure. That is
Do you
so
have a
much pressure.
do you have Letterboxd?
I actually am going to I'm going to my AMC and seeing what I watched. I just watched Civil War. That was that was um that was pretty good actually. Yeah, I think Civil War would be it. Um I
Not
think I
not
watched it
not
a couple
not
of weeks ago.
not late night with the devil, huh?
No.
Uh, yeah, I want to see that really bad too. I can't wait. I can't wait for. I can't wait to get my. I'm hoping that it'll drop to my library soon, and I can pick up a copy of that. I'm really excited for that. I'm a huge ISD fan, so I'm very excited to see Late Night with the Devil. Humane's coming out. The Dry too. A lot of great movies coming out. Listen, Asel, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for showing us your cat sitting skills, and I appreciate that as well. Um, we will definitely get back together when some new projects start coming out, and you'll probably be out there more traveling around the world, so there'll be more pictures on Instagram. And next time I'll be ready. I'll be better prepared. I'll be asking you all about your traveling adventures. Um, Good luck to you in the future, and we'll stay in touch. And shout out to Joe Leone. Thank you for introducing us for the last time you were here. I absolutely had a joy talking with you tonight. I want to thank the chat tonight. You guys have been outstanding. This has actually been one of the funnest shows I've done in a while as far as engagements. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all your questions. I hope I got to most of them. If not, you guys can come back tomorrow night when we talk to Matthew Kenner, and we'll do this all over again. We'll do this all over again at 8 o'clock. And just to let you know, too, because I didn't do that pretty well last time for you guys here, please circle the date for May 10th. That's a Friday. Oh, circle them all. I'm going to be, but we are doing a watch party on May 10th, Friday at May 10th at 9 p.m. We will be watching You Should Have Killed Me, and that will be with the screenwriter and the film director, Michael James Menard. And he'll be here with Dylan Yeager, and I'll be joined as special co-host, Larry, the Horror Cat Dad, and also Don Zombie. They will be our co-host as we watch and discuss the filming of You Should Have Killed Me. Which is an excellent crime caper movie. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right. Thank you again. Head on over to John's page at 10:30 for the interview with over there. And for you guys in the chat, thank you so much. Stay right where you're at, Asel. And to the chat, we'll see you over there at Doomsday's Crypt. Peace.